It does a really, really good job of setting up horror situations and then executing them.
Along with the production design team, everything about it just gives it a wonderful, wonderful, and gory look.
This is the best possession film since the original Exorcist. This is the best possession film in 50 years.
Well, here we are at the end of 2023. How did that happen? Where did that go?
It zipped, didn't it?
It zipped. It zipped, but it's here. And we did as short as the year seemed to be, and as all of them anymore seem to be, had some great films.
Yeah.
Great films in 2023, which is great. And, of course, here on the Fright Club podcast, we're talking about the great horror films, the best of 2023. Welcome in. This is our year-end look back. She is Hope Madden.
He's George Wolf.
And we are from madwolf.com. So we've narrowed it down to 20 of our favorite horror films of the year. And we'll zip through the first 10 pretty quickly and then dive in a little deeper to the top 10 of 2023. So anything else?
Boy, I don't think so.
All right. Well, yeah, it was a good year for movies. It was a good year for horror and a nice variety, too, I think. And we'll start off at number 20, and that is Megan.
Funny.
It was funny, and it was fun.
It was. I hoped from the trailer that it would keep up that funny, because the trailer was hilarious, and I thoroughly enjoyable.
Yeah, and there's the way they handled the robot and the movements. You still see those memes and those GIFs of her dancing. It's got a real dark, mischievous humor about it, but it still delivers the horror.
Yeah, loved it.
And it taps into that, well, the anxiety that's only getting worse, seems by the day, for technology and how technology will be our ruin. What else but a killer doll, a killer robot? So, yeah, really liked Megan. Also really liked another funny one at number 19. Our number 19 is on our list of the year, The Blackening.
Which was outright funny.
It was outright funny.
It was an intended horror comedy, and it was funny.
Yeah, and to be fair, it was probably more funny than scary. But it still delivered, as a horror comedy, and it was smart. And it's got its humor in, but still got its message across, too, which I think was very sly. And it got silly at times and silly bloody, but you could probably guess a couple of things that were coming, but still had a lot of fun.
Tons.
A lot of fun with The Blackening, and that is at number 19. Number 18 of our favorite for the year, Birth, Rebirth.
So 18 and 17 both are riffs on the Frankenstein.
Right.
And feminist riffs on the Frankenstein, although...
We saw a lot of that this year, horror and non-horror.
17 is got a slightly different kind of social commentary about it, but this one mainly, Maren Ireland, who is just good in everything.
She really is.
She delivers in this film because she's kind of a ghoul, and then the longer the film goes on, the more her character kind of evolves. It's great.
And she's no stranger to horror films, but we see her in other films too. She's got a lot of range.
Yeah, she does. Yeah.
She really does have a lot of range. So she was a good driving force in that. Birth, Rebirth at number 18. You already mentioned number 17, another sort of riff, another angle to the Frankenstein myth, and that is the angry black girl and her monster.
Oh yeah, and it just is a look at systemic racism and sort of cycles of violence. It's very tender and bloody and sad and scary and really well done.
Yeah, and another example of finding you can take something like this, like the Frankenstein myth or the Frankenstein story, and find a new way to look at it. In non-horror, one of our, if not the favorite film of the year was Poor Things. Did the same thing.
Yeah, Frankenstein was big this year.
Yeah, and even after all these years, you can still find another way to look at it. And boy, that one certainly did. 17, The Angry Black Girl and Her Monster. Another comedy at number 16, a lot of fun with Totally Killer.
That was really fun.
It really
Very
was fun.
Back to the Future. Just, yeah, it was funny.
But very wink, wink.
Yeah.
Very knowing. Yeah. And if you're a fan of the 80s, maybe the 80s is your decade like you, it was even more fun and got its kills in, got its horror in. Also the sci-fi thing about and had fun with time travel movies in general, which we've gone off on different podcasts. But yeah, Totally Killer was one. I remember when I sat down to watch it, I'll be honest, wasn't expecting to like it that much.
Yep.
And it had a little bit of the vibe of the Freakies.
Yeah.
And the, what's the other one I'm thinking of?
Happy Death Day.
Happy Death Day had a bit of that vibe, but I had a lot of fun with Totally Killer at number 16. Another one that was bloody but funny at number 15, Thanksgiving.
Yes, Eli Roth returns. And it's just, I think that this movie is a nice culmination of, it's a maturity for him in storytelling. It was very slick, well put together, packaged kind of a slasher film, very retro kind of 80s horror, but definitely the horror itself was Eli Roth all day. It was so much fun.
Yeah, it really was. And for those who don't remember, it's based on one of the fake trailers from the Grindhouse movie back in the day. And all those fake trailers were great.
Yes.
And they've had, differing results, making them into big screens. We're still waiting on Werewolf Woman of the SS.
That's right,
Get
Rob
on
Zombie.
that.
Get on that.
Get on that with Nicolas Cage. But in the meantime, Thanksgiving was, a lot of fun. At number 14, one that you had to remind me was still this year because we actually got a chance to see it pretty early, more than a year ago when we were judging for last year's Nightmares Film Festival.
That's right.
And we handle the thrillers for that. And this one is a horror thriller called Influencer. And it certainly made it into Nightmares Film Festival, but then got distribution in 2023. And it is a really well done, slick piece of
gorgeous.
And
smart, sly. It's
good performances.
Very.
And another good take on the social media culture, because we've seen so many movies, for good reason,
especially horror films,
take on the social media culture with, again, varying degrees of success. Some are pretty, by the time they land on the screen, they're already outdated.
Right.
This one took a little different track to it.
A little Hitchcocky, this one.
A little Hitchcocky, but as you mentioned, it looks just gorgeous.
It does.
And we got a chance to talk to the filmmaker, Curtis David Harder, when he came in for Nightmares. Talked to him about filming it and getting it done. And Hitchcockian, and it also delivers a very crowd-pleasing ending.
Yes, for sure.
Yeah, really, really crowd-pleasing ending. So he knows how to construct the mystery and then how to really deliver that final, you'll go home happy.
Yep.
And check this out. Influencer, number 14 on our list of the best horror of the year. At 13, Huesera the Bone Woman.
This one was a Shudder premiere. It's a Spanish-language pregnancy horror film, and it is really, really good. The shot-making is spectacular in this movie, and the performances also.
Yeah, we've seen a lot of that, too, this year. Fantastic cinematography, too, and we always love that. So at number 13, Huesera the Bone Woman. At number 12, is this another Shudder? The Sacrifice Game.
It is another Shudder. It's Jen Wexler. It's a holiday story, so it's one that we can watch every Christmas. It is set in the 70s. She's got this great sort of 70s palette. I mean, it's got really that sort of throwback to when all of the horror movies were about roving bands of hippies. It's so well made, very, very enjoyable.
And of course, that reflects, going back to the 70s, the anxieties of the times and the hippie movement.
Yeah.
So, very much the Sacrifice Game at number 12. And at number 11, just outside the top 10, but still very good, as all of these are on our list of best horror of the year, Malum.
That's a horror movie.
Yeah.
There's no getting around it. This one is horror all day.
No comedy here.
No, and it's kind of a remake and update of an earlier film that he made, but it's also kind of a mishmash of a lot of really great movies. Assault on Precinct 13, The Shining, a ton of stuff, a lot of blood, spooky as it gets, and with a small cast, confined space. I mean, just a lot done with very little. Super enjoyable.
I think this one could also get a lot of people either watching or rewatching Assault on Precinct 13.
Yeah.
I mean, because everybody's seen The Shining, obviously.
Yeah.
And a lot of movies have taken off on it. But that's one that comes up. Every now and then, you'll get a movie that reminds you of that movie.
And how great it was.
Yeah. And how influential.
Yes.
So Malum in at number 11 on our list of the best horror of 2023. All right, the top 10. This one traces a family of murderous sideshow performers as it travels around the world on the dying carnival circuit. It's Where the Devil Roams.
I took his magic and made my own pact.
We gotta keep moving.
Somebody cut off more than you can sew.
Oh, hit it again. We're just rotten thieves.
Your daughter did this to me. I can fix it. While the body rots to dust and bones, there's a tear in the heart where the devil roams.
We look forward really every year to whatever the Addams family has going on. So Toby Poser, John Adams, and Zelda Adams, the mom, dad, and daughter. They co-write, co-direct, and co-star in this film, and it just looks gorgeous. It looks like, scene after scene, sort of, tintype, like still photos of an era, and just captures the tone of this movie so well. This sideshow kind of,
which is always fertile ground.
It is.
For horror. I mean, you've got the visual opportunities just built right in. And if you film them the right way, man, it can be so creepy. The carnival or the sideshow, we've seen it done with, of course, American Horror Story, based an entire season around there. And, of course, Guillermo del Toro's Nightmare Alley did it. And here's another one that really takes advantage.
Yeah, it really does. And it's also, like a road picture as they travel and as the family travels, the sort of horrible things that they do. And, the performances are great. It looks great. Toby Poser really is. She's just a fantastic actor, and she has such interesting characters, and she brings them to life so well, and really wildly different from one film to the next. It was just a really enjoyable film.
Yeah, Toby Poser, Zelda Adams, and John Adams all credited as writers and directors. And I also love when a movie like this that gets you in the end where you're satisfied, and then you think to yourself, man, why didn't I see that
Yeah, definitely.
It was
and you're not
there,
going to.
But it was there.
Yeah, but you're not going to.
Yeah, you're not. But I love that.
Yeah, I know.
I love that.
Yeah.
It's just a sleight of hand sort of thing.
Yeah.
So, definitely if you haven't checked that out, check it out. The 10th best horror film of 2023 on our countdown. It's Where the Devil Roams. Moving up to number 9, this one is just a stunner. After living 250 years in this world, Augusto Pinochet, who is not dead, but an aged vampire, decides to die once and for all. That's high concept, but man, it works. It's Pablo Larraín and El Conde, or The Count.
A un soldado se le puede decir que es un asesino. Vos vais a matar a 4 vampiros.
So he's known mostly for these sort of poetic reimaginings of the tragic women's in history, right?
And
Spencer, Jackie. But he actually, if you look into his catalog, he does a lot of slyly political, films about Chile. And this one is an outright comedy, a very political satire, and his first, as far as I know, horror movie.
Yeah, and it's just fascinating.
It is.
Like I said in that synopsis, it is high concept.
Yeah.
But man, just buy in and let it just wash over you, and it's just fascinating to watch, frame after frame after frame.
It is gorgeous. It's another one that
gorgeous.
It is stunning. It is a stunningly beautiful movie. It's a really, really well constructed period piece. The performances are funny and fun and wry, and then it's got a twist at the end that you'll be like, oh damn!
Yeah, and just watching here on the studio computer, I'm watching part of the trailer, and to see him flying around with that cape,
oh my god,
it's amazing.
Yeah.
And this was one that came from Netflix, back in I think September, so even before the Halloween rush came in, and I don't know, it seemed a little quiet to me.
Yeah.
All of a sudden it was there, and they're like, oh my God, we got to check this out.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah, it was just fascinating. So definitely, if you haven't seen El Conde, check it out. Pablo Larraín, the director, and also the co-writer. And yeah, very much a political statement, but very darkly, satirically funny, just gorgeous.
Gorgeous.
Incredibly gorgeous. That is number 9 on our horror list of 2023, El Conde. Moving up to number 8, in a small Midwestern town, a deadly annual ritual unfolds when the mythical nightmare Sawtooth Jack rises from the cornfields and challenges the town's teenage boys in a bloody battle of survival. It's Dark Harvest.
Your sacred duty is to take down Sawtooth Jack before that church bell rings at midnight.
You really think that's real?
I saw it. It's real.
Then let's go kill it.
You should do it.
You know I'm not allowed.
Just because your brother won the run last year?
I got an idea.
If that thing isn't dead by midnight, this whole town is going straight to hell.
Why are you doing this?
If you're born in this town, you're cursed.
I'm ending this. Tonight.
It ain't over.
Boy, here's one more. Talk about gorgeous.
Oh, my Lord.
Holy moly. The cinematography in this, especially when they go out in the cornfields and they backlight and you get a look at the monster. I mean, it's great. The whole mood that is conjured back in, small Midwestern town decades ago. It's just perfect. And it's fun and it's bloody.
Oh, it's bloody as hell.
It's yeah. As hell.
Yeah.
I mean, when they really dig in, like, oh,
yeah,
alrighty then.
Yeah, it's David Slade who did 30 Days of Night
Yeah.
and, of course, Hard Candy. And it's just great to see him come back to horror in such a big way. I'm sorry this didn't get a bigger theatrical release because it was another one that was kind of quietly just dropped.
Yeah, but man, everybody that I know that saw it loved it. It is a crowd pleaser. It's a little bit, I mean, there are times when you can guess maybe where it's going. It's not the deepest thing in the world.
No, it's a little bit predictable, but the execution is just glorious.
The execution, and it reminded me a lot of a movie we liked very much from, I don't know how many years ago, 3 or 4, called The Vast of Night.
Mm-hmm.
That was not a horror movie. That was more sci-fi. But the way it conjured up an era.
Yes.
A bygone era, small town, and I thought it did it really well.
Yeah.
Also had some sly humor in it, but boy, if you want the gore, I mean, you want the beauty and the gore when it kicks in, when the monster and the activities kick in. Woo-hoo-hoo. Yeah, it delivers. And again, it's just beautiful to look at. We should mention it was Larry Smith.
Only God Forgives.
Only God Forgives.
Oh, no.
Now, if you've seen that movie, you know, holy crap.
Yeah.
There is some beauty, and the color in that movie is unforgettable.
Yes.
So yeah, Larry Smith is the cinematographer here, and man, makes it look just, along with the production design team, everything about it just gives it a wonderful, wonderful, and gory look. This is one that might have slipped through the cracks for you. If so, check it out. Number 8 on our list of best horror of 2023. It's Dark Harvest. Let's move it up to number 7, a twisted tale of 2 estranged sisters whose reunion is cut short by the rise of flesh-possessing demons, thrusting them into a primal battle for survival as they face the most nightmarish version of family imaginable. It's Evil Dead Rise.
All you can do is run.
I'm getting us out of here.
You'd be a good mom someday, Honeybath.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah, you know how to lie to kids. Mom?
Mommy's with the maggots now.
What will be, will be.
Eeny, meeny, miny. You.
This is writer-director Lee Cronin. I remember we were so excited for this, and we were lucky enough to have Bruce Campbell on the podcast.
This here podcast.
Yes, and he was talking about, get ready. This is not, get ready because they bring it, and they move it to this apartment building.
Yeah.
And so that's really the first time you're taking the Evil Dead franchise and moving it. And let's be honest, it was probably time. It was probably time to do it. But you're still sort of trapped. You're not in a backwoods, cabin or anything, but you're still sort of trapped trying to get away from this. The
Deadites.
The Deadites,
Oh, yeah, and they're coming.
They're coming.
There are some, the whole movie, I enjoyed the whole movie, but there are some particular sequences that really stick with you. And there's one very fisheye, very sort of Yorgos like fisheye, as you watch carnage through a peephole in an apartment door. So good, so good. It does a really, really good job of setting up horror situations and then executing them.
Yeah, I think, and that fisheye one you talk about is very effective. But he uses a variety of different angles and different sort of to keep you disoriented, which fits because they're stuck in this. They don't just stay in the one apartment. They go down to the basement, up, and everything. But still, it can be claustrophobic in the fact that they're trying to get away and get free from these deadites, and it also brings the blood.
Oh, it's incredibly bloody,
Definitely
as anything in this series has to be. And I think for people who didn't care for the Fede Alvarez version, we love the Fede Alvarez, as we say. This one, it is closer in tone and in violence to that. It doesn't have the slapstick humor of the Sam Raimi films.
Which I'm all for.
but it's a little, I think, a step back in that direction. Like
Yes.
it's more of the Fede Alvarez type of horror. However, there is more outright humor in this.
Yeah.
And again, in all of the weird different camera angles, which is very Sam Raimi.
Yeah, I'll give you that. It's more like a half step back toward that, yeah. But very, very satisfying for us. That's number 7 on our list of the best horror of the year, Evil Dead Rise. Now we're moving up to number 6, another one of our favorites. Filmmakers Brandon Cronenberg, James and M. Foster are enjoying an all-inclusive beach vacation in the fictional island of Latoka when a fatal accident exposes the resort's perverse subculture of hedonistic tourism, reckless violence, and surreal horrors. Infinity Pool.
This is just a little game.
I can take some blood. Show me how strong you are. It's really disgusting. That you could just sit there and watch it happen.
You know, James, do you worry they got the wrong man?
Well, you had us at Brandon Cronenberg.
Yeah, buddy. Yeah, buddy. And this one gets crazy, as you might expect from one of his films. And it's got a great cast led by Mia Goth and Alexander Skarsgård. And it just, he's an author.
Mm-hmm.
And he finds...
But not a very good one.
No, but he finds, happenstance, Mia Goth is a big fan.
Right.
Oh, how lucky that is.
Yeah.
There couldn't be any ulterior motives,
No.
could they?
Yeah, I mean, the turns that this takes, and it's one of those films where, it reminds me actually of several other films, including last year's Speak No Evil, where it's you're sort of being led down this path that is eventually going to go way wrong, but somebody's preying upon kind of your social etiquette.
Sure.
You know what I mean? And I love, Michael Haneke does this a lot. I love films that tread on that. Like, you're just going to go along with this right now because it would be rude not to, right? I love that when that's done well, and it's done so well here. But then it turns into a sci-fi just feast of weirdness.
Yeah, and it's interesting when movies do that, you're just going to go along with this, right? Because then when it goes to the lengths that it goes, a lot of times you're just turning it back on the victims. Like, well, why didn't you do anything? This is your fault.
Yeah.
And you can make that a metaphor for a lot of things
Yes.
going on in the world, especially right now. So it's really effective. And of course, with Brandon Cronenberg and the Cronenberg name, you can expect some of the stuff that you're going to see and the type of horror that you're going to see.
It's body horror.
It is body horror.
It's body
but
horror.
you knew that.
But there are some really uncomfortable moments, too, in this film, yes.
Very uncomfortable. But, if you're down for the Cronenberg vibe, then you'll join us in the Infinity Pool, and that is number 6 on our list of horror of 2023. Oh, the cream of the crop now. We're into the top 5. And this is from another filmmaker whose work we always want to see. It focuses on Johnny, a wild and impulsive teenage girl living precariously in a town where young women continue to go missing, and the power she's forced to unlock to survive. Jennifer Reeder's Perpetrator.
We have to find that girl. You are one in a long line. Ferocious, repulsive, magnificent. He took everything he could from her. He's gonna do that to us too. She's alive. I just don't know where she is. I could feel her blood leaving her body. We are all going to survive this. You have to be okay with the pain and the blood.
So Jennifer Reeder is known as a Chicago filmmaker, but we claim her because she's born and raised in Columbus, Ohio. And a few years ago, her feature debut, Knives and Skin, just knocked us out. And we were excited. We've been excited with everything that she's done since then. And this is another just really kind of, I think, another just great, very bloody, really funny, weird feminist horror film that is just scene after scene intoxicating.
Yeah, it is. And it features some great performances. Not only the main, Kia McKernan plays Johnny, who's approaching her 18th birthday, and a coming of age, and I think that's a theme that Jennifer Reeder likes to explore.
Yes, I think you're right. Coming
of age, but also features a glorious performance from Alicia Silverstone.
Oh, just wry and delicious. She's so good in this movie.
So good.
She's so good. And it's a violent film, but it's never like a gratuitously violent film. It's kind of, a high school. It is very much a high school, not a high school slasher. It's more like a John Hughes movie by way of sort of David Lynch. It's a lot of fun, so weird and just wonderful.
Yeah, and smart. Another smart one in what it's saying, and still working within, the horror genre, and reminding people that, hey, the horror genre, these filmmakers have a lot to say.
Yes.
It's not just blood and guts here. There's a lot to say, and this is another example, and really, really enjoyable and satisfying number 5 on our list of the year, and that is Perpetrator from Jennifer Reeder. Moving up to number 4, this one of the most polarizing films of the year for sure. 2 children wake up in the middle of the night to find their father is missing, and all the windows and doors in their home have vanished. It's Skinamarink.
In this house.
Yeah, I think basically either you were terrified beyond reason by this movie or you were bored stiff.
That's exactly right.
Mm-hmm.
And boy, I saw plenty of people on both sides of the aisle. I thought it was so well done. So and scary because it taps into an actual nightmare. That's basically what the film is, a filmed nightmare. It's Kyle Edward Ball, the writer-director, who we were also lucky enough to have. We had him come in here to Columbus with a visit to Gateway Film Center and be on the podcast. We recorded one with Kyle Edward Ball in attendance at a screening.
Mm-hmm.
And we talked about the genesis of this, which was he was getting people to submit to him their nightmares, and he would do short films.
Yeah,
sort of
on his YouTube channel.
Yeah, bringing them to life.
Mm-hmm.
And it was very popular, understandably so. And then he just started to realize that so many of the nightmares that he was getting, people were submitting to him, were very, very similar.
Yeah.
Like this.
Mm-hmm.
And so he made it a short film called Heck that's just a little under 30 minutes. And then he turned that into this feature, Skinamarink. So it very much is a nightmare. And if you've had anything close to this nightmare, as I have had, it will really get you.
Yeah.
Really get you. But again, you might be just as liable to go, what is the attraction here?
Well, right. If you haven't had that nightmare, then it can get a little long and perhaps tedious. But the thing is, and I haven't had that nightmare, but I do think that the atmosphere that this movie creates and sort of the, children in peril, there are a lot of things about it that are common terrors for everybody. But I just can't help but think, if I were watching a film that literally was a nightmare, had been in my own head, in my own dreams, that would have scared the shit out of me. And so our son had this experience where he did not love this movie, but he said that his girlfriend, Mia, has never been more frightened of anything in her life.
There you go.
Yeah.
Exactly. So it's going to really work for you, or maybe really will not work for you. But even beyond that, the way that he constructs it, I mean, with the sound design and the cinematography combined to create this grainy, this VHS kind of world. And sometimes you have to strain through the grain, if I can make that rhyme, to say, what is going on? And then you hear whispers, and then toward the end you hear another voice. What's going on here?
Voice.
That maybe is instructing the children to do things like, oh, it's just creepy.
Oh, it's very
just
creepy. And also there are a lot of little clips of no doubt public domain cartoons, which are creepy and fun in the way like those throwback cartoons are. But also, for me personally, one of them was I'm the pincushion man, the terror of Balloony Land from the old Pee Wee Herman show, which just I love so much.
And also the way he frames children's toys.
Oh my God,
can look so menacing. Yeah, yeah, running around. Yeah, I thought it was extremely effective. I get it if you don't. If you're going, what are you talking about? Yeah. I get it. but boy, thought it was extremely effective. And Kyle's a great guy.
Yes,
we had a great
he
time
is.
when he was here. Hope he comes
He's
back
a
to town.
sweetheart.
Yeah, Skinamarink, number 4 on our list of the best horror of 2023. Let's move into the top 3 now. When a group of friends discover how to conjure spirits using an embalmed hand, they become hooked on the new thrill until one of them goes too far and unleashes terrifying supernatural forces. Talk to me.
Talk to me.
Haley, fucking stop it, he's choking! 83 seconds, get it off him!
What if we opened the door but we didn't shut it?
Delete it. Delete it, come on!
The spirits, they followed us.
We have to do something!
You want to do it again? They're not gonna stop.
What was it? What? I don't know!
I let you in. I let you in. Oh my God.
Oh, A24.
Yep.
Hits again.
Yep.
This was, man, I loved it.
Yeah.
I loved it.
Yeah, it was very, not tropey. I don't want to say it's tropey. There were familiar things about it, but instead of feeling like every other teenage-driven horror film, it felt like I was dropped in the middle of a bunch of actual teenagers.
Yeah.
So that was a nice change of pace. Part of it is because the performances were so very good.
They were. It's R-rated horror, and it's light. You know, for us, we've talked about this a lot here on the podcast. It's light on the jump scares and the false alarms, which really get on my nerves. But it still it leans on some great visual images that are scary.
Oh yeah, so
they are scary.
Now, of course, our son is named Riley, and so I'm always particularly weakened when one of the characters is named Riley, and of course, the kid who's in the most trouble here is named Riley. But there is one flash of what's happening to him that just made my stomach drop.
Yeah, it's really great visual horror, but it also has psychological depth. I mean, it's touching on grief, it's touching on trauma, the anxieties of leaving childhood behind, moving into adulthood, taking that step, and just creepiness with this hand.
Yeah.
I mean, when it comes back to it, sort of like, it reminds me a little bit of, The Ring. At the center of it all, you've got this video.
Right.
Okay, at the center of all this, you've got this hand.
Right.
Which is just creepy.
Yeah.
You have to grip it and rip it.
Yeah.
Right?
You know what else I want to say, though, just real briefly, is that one of the things I loved in the horror films of this year, this movie and Evil Dead Rise, each of the movies, one of the leads is a trans actor, and no attention is drawn to that because there's no reason for it to be. It's not like that's not part of the script, that's not part of what the storyline is about. It just happens to be that two of the people in these movies are trans actors, are trans people, and I love that.
That's right. But it was just truly chilling. Now, there are a couple moments where I think maybe it flirts with contrivance. For me, it didn't step over the line.
No,
I've talked to a couple people that maybe thought it. For me, it did not.
I also felt like it was. I'm not sure that the trajectory was often in question, but I think it made up for that as well.
Yeah, agreed. I thought it was just a really, really great ride with some great visual scares and some narrative depth to it as well. A24 strikes again. Number 3 on our list for this year, Talk to Me. At number 2, boy, this one might be the biggest crowd pleaser this year. Everybody loves it. Set in post-war Japan at its lowest point when a new crisis emerges in the form of a giant monster baptized in the horrific power of the atomic bomb. Godzilla -1.
あれはゴジラ。
その怪物は許しちゃくれない。
ゴジラ-1。
Ooh, what a comeback for the Godzilla franchise.
My God.
Holy moly. And I'm going to be honest here, and maybe this is on me. I was not expecting this. I was not.
Well, so it's the same group that made Shin Godzilla a few
Yeah,
years
I
ago,
know.
which was another high point. But I can see that there are so many Godzilla movies, and most of them honestly are not very good. I mean, there are 55 Godzilla movies.
I know. And this is writer-director Takashi Yamazaki. And man, what a success. Not only with Well, first of all, the monster looks fantastic.
Does,
Looks
absolutely.
great. But the human story, which
Yeah.
is so often such a weak point of these, the human story
Especially in the American version.
just delivers
Oh, it
in
does.
such a big way. Because you know what? It goes back, obviously, it's set back in World War II, so it goes back to the beginnings of the legend here, that everything that, birthed Godzilla. But also, it's very Japan-centered.
Yes.
And the filmmaker is commenting. He's not only making a monster movie, he's commenting on his country.
Yeah.
And the expendable way they viewed maybe their forces, their military.
People.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's a beautiful film. I mean, it will make you cry.
Definitely
This is
will.
the first time I ever cried in a Godzilla movie, but
Yeah.
I cried. And the moment that it made me cry, and I knew it was going to happen, because as I've told you this story a million times, the first time I watched The Iron Giant, I watched it with my niece sitting in my lap, and eventually she looked up at me because tears were just smacking her little head. And so the moment that made me just bawl out loud in this movie, that's what it felt like to me, was that moment in Iron Giant that just gutted me.
Yeah, it's a great monster movie. It's a great human story. Now, this one did for me a little schmaltzy and a little bit, I don't want to say contrived. You can see where it's going,
Sure.
but still it works.
It does work.
It ends up working.
And it's my favorite score of 2023.
Oh, the score is fantastic.
Because it blends like sort of, Spielbergian epics with just throwback B-movie, in-your-face music that was just, it made me so happy.
Yeah, and I really appreciated that it was just so pure in its intentions. It's like, this is about us, and this is about the roots of this franchise. And you know what, America, the rest of the world, if you like it, fine, but
Right.
we're not concerned.
Right.
I'm commenting on my homeland here and the history of the country and war and the history of this franchise. And it's just a resounding success.
Yeah, absolutely.
A resounding success. And pretty clever, I thought too, in the way they go about battling Godzilla.
Right. Yeah.
So all in all, like I said, there's one where I have not encountered one person that didn't like this movie.
No.
Or just love it.
Right,
Really.
right.
More than just like it. Love it. And that is number 2, Godzilla -1. Number 2 on our list of 2023 horror. So what could beat it? What could be number 1? Well, this one. In a remote village, 2 brothers find a demon-infected man just about to give birth to evil itself. They decide to get rid of the body, only to end up unintentionally spreading chaos when evil lurks.
¡Lo vi con mis propios ojos! ¡Estuve con él! Esto va a ser un infierno.
Tenemos que encontrar a la bestia antes de que nazca más.
Damien Rugna. I want to see every single thing he ever does. So he made a movie a few years ago, the first one we'd seen of his, called Terrified, and it was great. It was kind of a haunting. It was really, really good and interesting. He also did one of the shorts in Satanic Hispanics this year.
Right.
My favorite, actually, of the shorts
Right.
in that.
Yeah.
And but this is the best possession film since the original Exorcist. This is the best possession film in 50 years.
And you talk about another crowd pleaser for people that really like horror. This, I'll be shocked if you are not blown away by this movie, because it delivers the GD goods.
Yeah, it does. Because it's a horror movie. There's
It
no
is.
getting around it.
It
There's,
is.
But it's so smart, and it's almost like 3 separate horror films kind of stitched together in a brilliant way, one act to the next. And each one is more compelling and wild and insane and amazing than the one before it. It's so impressive, and the protagonist, they unveil more and more about the protagonist, the lead, as he's sort of go along. You think he's just like this grumpy guy, and then he's so frustrating that you just want to strangle him.
Because-
And that's another reason, though, that you're on the edge of your seat the whole time.
Right. You can see the results of his stupid choices coming.
Yeah.
They're almost like warned. They're warned to him. And he still makes these stupid choices.
But what's great about it is that, if you take the movie The Lodge, which we love the movie The Lodge, that father is an idiot.
An idiot. Yeah.
And then but this, it's actually quite realistic. You know this guy. People like this guy, and you know that they're always going to go with their gut, even when they know, everybody else knows that's the worst decision he could make.
Yep.
But he's going to do it every time.
Yep. And man, yeah, it delivers. You're right. There's a dread. There's just this creeping dread, almost from the first few minutes, really.
And then in the moments when they actually show you the violence, they show you the rotten, they show you the dog. You're like,
rotten.
Damn. Yeah, that's what the possessed are called, the rotten.
I like that. That could be
my God,
as a
great.
title, like maybe even a sequel, the rotten.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, it's got some great visuals to it too. I mean, just really nasty, evil sort of visuals to it that really drive it home. I mean, this is serious business. This is the serious business of horror, and out on number one, out on top of the year for 2023, When Evil Lurks. Yeah, you're right. Always want to see what Rugna is up to. And that, it's the top of a good heap.
Yes.
In 2023, and lots of, I think you can look at just from our top 20 there. And there were some more that could have easily popped in.
Oh, absolutely, for sure.
A lot of variety, a lot of different types of horror. I mean, one that almost made it was Renfield, which was fun.
It was fun.
And also
it was super
very
fun.
bloody.
Yeah, it was very bloody,
but very fun to see Nicolas Cage do that part. So, yeah, there was a lot to offer, a lot to be happy about in 2023.
Hey, you know what's another really great horror movie that came out in 2023 that people should be watching? Obstacle Corpse.
Out there now.
That's right, out there now on all of the platforms that you might want to find it on. And,
just...
we would have put it on the list, honestly, but we thought, well, that's rude.
Hashtag shameless. It just debuted on Plex.
Right, so it's on Plex,
Another
it's on
platform.
Vudu, it's on Tubi, and it's on Prime. So watch it.
Please do. 85 minutes, bloody, funny. You're in, you're out. Hopefully you're going to have a good time with it. And if you do see it, please let us know. We'd love to see you checking it out, what you think.
Do you know what else is coming up, George?
Oh, my Lord. Talking about time passing quickly.
Yep.
Coming up January will be the 10th year of Fright Club.
Yep. We will have Fright Club Live will be our 10th anniversary.
Man.
That's insane.
It is insane.
That is wild to me that we've been doing this for 10 years.
Yeah. Started out at Studio 35 here in Columbus, moved for a few months to the Drexel. Love both of those.
Found our forever home.
Found our forever home at
Gateway
Film Center. Been there ever since. We do it live, as you know, once a month in front of that crowd, great crowd. And do a podcast, have some fun, have some drinks, give away some prizes, and then show a movie. And yet 10 years later, we're still doing it. So by all means, if you're in the area, make plans to join us for the 10th anniversary shindig.
Yes.
The 10th anniversary blowout. We're still working on the trained seals, the animal acts. I don't know about that. We will have prizes, though.
We will have
Plenty.
prizes. We're also we're going to show the movie The Black Cat. That is going to be our classic for this year, and it is a movie that I have literally been trying to get for years, and I'm just so grateful to Chris Hamill for finally getting this for us. I can't wait to see it on a big screen. I've never seen it on a big screen.
I haven't either.
And unexpected guests.
That's a good
That's going to be it's such a staple in horror. So yeah, that'll be a lot of fun.
That'll be Friday, January the 12th, for the 10th anniversary blowout extravaganza for Fright Club Live. So of course we'll have more. I got to make an event for it too.
You do
on the socials. So we'll do that. And by all means, if you haven't joined Fright Club Podcast, the group on Facebook, do that. Just put in a request to join. We'll get you in there. Lots of fun in there. So a bunch of stuff coming up as we wrap up 2023. Yes.
Hey, George, did you know we're also on Blue Sky?
We're on Blue Sky. See, I have trouble remembering that because you take care of that completely. I don't think I've ever even been on Blue Sky.
No.
You handle that.
Yeah,
I
it's
handle
like
Threads.
me and 6 other people.
Yeah, but you're building. You're building a community is what's important. So, yeah, madwolf.com is the main website, and then you can find us at madwolf on Twitter, and then on Facebook, Instagram, and Threads, which I do. That's my territory. I got the Threads covered, locked down. That's Mad Wolf Columbus. And then on Blue Sky, it's
Fright Club.
It's Fright Club.
On Twitter, it's Fright Club Pod.
Right. So a lot of ways.
Tons.
A lot of
Loads.
ways to check in, and we hope you will, because as we wrap up 2023, obviously looking back at some great stuff, and we're looking ahead to some hopefully great stuff in 2024. And we'll start that off with the 10th anniversary party. So make it if you can. Let us know what we thought about this list. What did we miss? What did we, misnumber? Are you just aghast that Skinnamarink is in there at all? All right, let's talk about it. Maybe we'll get Kyle involved in that conversation. But please keep in touch if you can, and have a great close to this year. Have a great end of the holiday season and a great start to 2024. We look forward to starting off the 11th year here at Fright Club. So appreciate it as always. Keep in touch. She is Hope Mad.
He's George Wolf.
And this is the Fright Club Podcast.
Hi, folks. I'm Bruce Campbell, hanging out here with Hope and George. Stay groovy.